Long before anyone understood the science of sleep, people believed that the most important moments of the day began only after darkness had fallen. The lamps go out, the sounds become hushed, and another world slowly stirred to life. It was a world that could not be reached by walking, sailing, or climbing a mountain. It could be entered only through sleep. Imagine arriving at a sanctuary just as the final glow of sunset slips beyond the horizon. The long journey has left your sandals dusty, your shoulders weary, and your thoughts filled with questions that no friend, healer, or ruler has been able to answer. Tonight, you have come seeking something far more mysterious than advice. You have come in search of a dream. The stone beneath your feet still holds a little warmth from the afternoon sun. Somewhere nearby, water trickles quietly into a pool. A priest speaks only in whispers before leading you into a chamber where strangers already rest beneath woven blankets, waiting for the same unseen visitor that has drawn each of you across forests, mountains, and distant seas. No one has gathered here expecting conversation. No speeches will be given before dawn. No debates will settle the questions carried into this room. Every hope rests upon what may happen after weary eyes finally close. For thousands of years, scenes like this unfolded across the ancient world. Entire temples were built for those who believed that dreams could heal the sick, guide the lost, reveal hidden truths, and sometimes change the course of history itself. Kings sought them before making great decisions. Pilgrims crossed vast distances in search of them. Ordinary families treasured them as gifts that arrived quietly during the night. To those who lived in these worlds, dreams were rarely dismissed as wandering thoughts or fading memories. They were welcomed as visitors. Some believed they carried the voices of ancestors. Others trusted them as messages from the gods. Many simply accepted that sleep allowed the soul to wander into places that daylight could never reveal. Each evening, every person stood before the same invisible threshold. One moment the familiar world remained clear and certain. The next, it dissolved into landscapes where time moved differently, impossible journeys became ordinary, and questions that seemed beyond answering sometimes found gentle replies. Across continents separated by oceans, and across centuries separated by the rise and fall of kingdoms, this quiet belief appeared again and again. The names changed, the temples changed, the rituals changed, yet the hope remained remarkably familiar. Somewhere within the mystery of sleep, humanity believed wisdom was waiting. Tonight, on the Sleepy Legends channel, we will wander through those forgotten sanctuaries together. We will visit dream temples where healing was sought beneath silent ceilings of stone, meet the guardians who listened carefully to visions carried by the night, and discover why so many civilizations believed that the hours before dawn held the closest thing on earth to a conversation with the divine. So settle into a comfortable place. Allow the day to gently fade behind you, and as the world around you grows a little quieter, let us begin a journey into one of humanity's oldest and most enduring mysteries. The sanctuary grows quiet behind us as the last lamp burns low. Beyond its stone walls, the night stretches across deserts, forests, mountains, and distant seas. Wherever darkness settles, countless others are preparing for sleep, each carrying hopes that the coming dreams may reveal something hidden from the light of day. Our journey begins in ancient Mesopotamia, where broad rivers wind between fertile fields and great cities rise from sun-baked brick. As evening cools the rooftops, families carry woven mats into the open air. Before anyone closes their eyes, yesterday's dreams are quietly remembered. A child describes a river unlike any she has ever seen. An elder listens without interruption, wondering whether the dream has arrived with a purpose that will become clear only in time. Not every dream is believed to carry a message, yet no one dismisses it too quickly. The night belongs to mysteries that daylight cannot always explain. A king may summon interpreters to consider an especially troubling vision, while an ordinary shepherd may carry the memory of a single dream for years, quietly believing it arrived for a reason. Far to the southwest, the Nile reflects the pale light of the moon as it has for thousands of years. Palm leaves sway gently above the riverbank, and somewhere within the shadowed walls of a temple, a scribe carefully unrolls a sheet of fresh papyrus. Dreams worthy of remembering are written down with the same careful hand that records harvests, prayers, and royal decrees. Words seen in sleep may one day prove as valuable as words spoken while awake. Across the sea in the Greek world, fishing boats rest quietly in sheltered harbors while mountain villages settle beneath the stars. Travelers pause before beginning long journeys, hoping the night will offer reassurance. Mothers whisper small prayers before their children fall asleep. Somewhere, an old woman wakes before dawn and sits silently for a moment, repeating her dream to herself before the morning birds can carry it away. To us, these places seem wonderfully different. Their languages, temples, clothing, and customs belong to worlds separated by mountains and oceans. Yet when evening arrives, they begin to resemble one another. Lamps are dimmed, voices soften, eyes close, and everywhere, people wait with the same quiet hope that sleep may bring more than simple rest. No traveler crossing these ancient lands would have found a single explanation for dreams. Some believed ancestors drew near beneath the cover of darkness. Others trusted that the gods spoke most clearly when the busy thoughts of daylight had finally fallen silent. Many accepted both without feeling any contradiction at all. The unseen world was vast enough to hold many mysteries. As we continue our own quiet journey, we will discover that this belief inspired remarkable places unlike any other in the ancient world. There were temples built not for great ceremonies, but for sleeping. Sanctuaries where silence was welcomed more than conversation. Places where the most important part of the day began only after every lamp had been extinguished. Our quiet journey carries us southward now, where the broad waters of the Nile have shaped both the land and the lives of its people for countless generations. Even beneath the stars, the river never seems entirely asleep. It whispers softly against reeds and stone, reflecting the moon just as faithfully as it reflects the first light of dawn. Villages rest peacefully along its banks, while beyond them rise temples whose great columns disappear into the darkness above. During the heat of the day, these sacred places welcome priests, scribes, musicians, and those who come bearing offerings. By night, however, another kind of visitor sometimes arrives. They bring no gifts of grain or gold. Instead, they carry questions. Some seek relief from illnesses that have lingered despite every remedy they know. Others hope to understand a troubling vision that has returned again and again while they sleep. A few simply long for reassurance that the path before them is the right one. Their questions are as varied as the people themselves, yet all share the quiet hope that the coming night may offer an answer beyond the reach of ordinary conversation. Within the temple walls, the air grows cooler. The scent of incense lingers among polished stone floors, while the wavering light of oil lamps casts long shadows across carved columns. Voices remain soft. Every movement seems unhurried, as though even time itself has agreed to slow its pace within these sacred spaces. For the ancient Egyptians, dreams could be far more than passing images. Some were believed to carry messages from the gods, while others hinted at dangers that had not yet appeared or blessings still waiting beyond the horizon. The challenge was not deciding whether dreams mattered. It was learning how to understand them wisely. That search for understanding became an art practiced with remarkable care. Scribes preserved collections of dreams along with suggested meanings, creating guides that helped interpreters recognize familiar symbols. A dream of clear water might be welcomed quite differently than one of muddy floodwaters. A bird, a serpent, a house, or a journey across the river could each invite thoughtful reflection, depending upon the dreamer's own circumstances. Even so, no written guide could replace quiet experience. The same dream might carry one meaning for a young farmer, another for an aging priest, and yet another for a queen responsible for an entire kingdom. Dreams were not treated as riddles with a single correct answer. They were invitations to reflect, to pray, and sometimes to wait patiently before acting. As the night deepens, the temple grows still. Somewhere beyond the inner chambers, a single lamp continues to burn. A weary traveler settles onto a simple woven mat, closes tired eyes, and waits. No one knows what dreams will come before morning. That uncertainty is not feared. It is welcomed. Our journey will soon carry us farther along the shores of the Mediterranean, where another civilization will build sanctuaries devoted almost entirely to healing through sleep. Yet many of the hopes we will find there have already taken root here beside the Nile, where the quiet hours of the night have long been regarded as one of life's most sacred gifts. The first sounds of morning arrive gently. Before the temple stirs with footsteps, birds begin their quiet chorus among the cypress branches. The cool air carries the scent of damp earth, and a pale ribbon of light slowly appears above the distant hills. One by one, the pilgrims open their eyes, each carrying memories that no one else has seen. Some awaken smiling, convinced they have received the answer they sought. Others remember only fragments, a familiar voice, a winding path, the touch of cool water, or the brief appearance of a great serpent that vanished as suddenly as it came. There are also those who recall nothing at all, trusting that even a dream beyond memory may still have brought quiet healing. No one is expected to hurry away. The sanctuary welcomes patience. Dreams are spoken softly, often before the details have begun to fade beneath the growing light of morning. A priest listens with careful attention, asking gentle questions rather than offering immediate certainty. The smallest image may matter as much as the largest. Nearby, scribes preserve remarkable stories offered by grateful pilgrims. Some describe illnesses that eased after a single night within the sanctuary. Others tell of dreams in which Asclepius appeared carrying a staff entwined with a living serpent, speaking few words, yet leaving the dreamer with lasting comfort. Still others remember being shown simple actions to take after returning home, trusting that healing would continue long after the journey had ended. As the years passed, these accounts quietly accumulated. Stone tablets were carved with stories of restored sight, renewed strength, and recoveries that visitors believed had begun in the stillness of the night. Whether we understand every account in the same way today matters less than the picture they leave behind. Generation after generation continued to arrive because someone they trusted had returned home believing they had been helped. The sanctuary itself became a place where many paths met. Physicians practiced alongside priests. Careful observation stood beside quiet faith. Fresh water, clean air, rest, conversation, and hope all found a place within the healing journey. To modern eyes, it can seem surprising that these belong together. To those who gathered here, they were simply different gifts offered by the same sacred place. As the sun climbs higher, the sleeping halls slowly empty. Some travelers begin the long walk toward distant villages. Others pause beneath the shade of olive trees before continuing on their way. A few turn for one last look at the sanctuary, quietly wondering if they will ever return. Our own journey now leaves the gentle hills of Greece behind. Ahead lie other lands where dreams are welcomed with equal reverence, though they will be understood through different voices, different symbols, and different traditions. Like rivers flowing toward the same sea, each culture will add its own quiet current to the ancient belief that the night has wisdom of its own. The Tigris and the Euphrates wind across broad plains beneath an immense sky, nourishing cities whose names have echoed through history for thousands of years. As evening settles over Mesopotamia, the last warmth of the sun slowly fades from the mud brick walls, and the first stars begin to appear above the rooftops. From the highest terraces of the great temples, priests watch the heavens with patient eyes. Below them, merchants finish their day's trading, potters cover their kilns, and shepherds guide the last of their flocks through the city gates. As in every land we have visited, the pace of life softens when darkness arrives. Lamps are lit, doors are closed, families gather together before another night begins. In these ancient cities, dreams are welcomed with remarkable seriousness. A vivid dream is rarely dismissed with a shrug or forgotten before breakfast. Instead, it becomes something to remember, to discuss, and sometimes to record with great care. What appears during the quiet hours of the night may hold guidance for tomorrow, or perhaps a warning that wisdom should not ignore. Within the royal palace, the responsibility feels even greater. Kings carry not only their own futures, but the hopes of entire kingdoms. If an unusual dream disturbs the ruler's sleep, trusted advisors may be summoned before the morning meal. They listen carefully as every detail is recalled, believing that the smallest image may hold the key to understanding what lies ahead. Clay tablets preserved from this ancient world tell us that dreams were carefully collected and interpreted. Scribes pressed tiny wedge-shaped marks into soft clay, preserving observations that would survive long after voices had fallen silent. Some tablets gathered dreams, according to the images they contained. Others offered possible meanings, helping interpreters search for patterns that experience had taught them to recognize. One dream might speak of rising waters. Another might feature an eagle circling high above the city, a stranger offering bread, a broken gate, a journey across unfamiliar ground. Each image invited thoughtful reflection rather than hurried certainty. No interpreter expected every dream to carry the same meaning for every dreamer. Wisdom required patience as much as knowledge. As the night deepens, the great cities grow quieter still. Somewhere a watchman walks slowly along the city wall beneath the moonlight. Somewhere else, a mother gently covers a sleeping child with a woven blanket. In the royal palace, a lamp continues to burn beside a bed where a king has only recently closed his eyes. No one yet knows what the night will reveal, but many believe it is already beginning to speak. Our own quiet voyage lingers for a little while longer beside these ancient rivers, where dreams were not simply private experiences, but threads woven into the life of an entire civilization. Before long, we will meet one of the most remarkable dreamers in history, whose gift for understanding the language of dreams would echo across generations and across many different traditions. The rivers gradually fall behind us as our journey follows the ancient caravan roads that connect kingdoms across the Near East. Traders, shepherds, messengers, and wandering pilgrims all travel these dusty paths, carrying spices, woven cloth, carved ivory, and stories gathered from distant lands. Among those stories are dreams that refuse to be forgotten, passed from one traveler to another as quietly as evening conversation beside a campfire. One such story begins with a young man far from home, torn from the familiar places of his childhood and carried into Egypt against his own wishes. Joseph finds himself living in a world where strange customs, unfamiliar voices, and towering temples surround him. Yet even in this foreign land, the language of dreams remains wonderfully familiar. Years pass, and Joseph earns a reputation for listening carefully when others speak of the visions they have seen during the night. He does not treat dreams as curious entertainments or idle fantasies. Instead, he approaches them with patience and humility, believing that wisdom belongs to the one who grants understanding rather than to the interpreter alone. Then one restless night, Pharaoh himself awakens deeply troubled. The dream is vivid enough that sleep refuses to return. 7 healthy cattle emerge from the waters of the Nile, only to be consumed by 7 others that are thin and gaunt. Soon another vision follows. Full, healthy heads of grain disappear before stalks that are withered by the desert wind. Morning arrives, yet the unease remains. The royal court searches for an explanation. Advisors gather. Wise men are summoned. Every image is examined with care, but certainty proves difficult to find. The dream lingers over the palace like the last stars that remain visible after sunrise. Joseph is finally brought before Pharaoh, not as a powerful official, but as a man known for listening with unusual care. He hears the dream exactly as it is told, without interruption, and then quietly offers an interpretation that reaches beyond the symbols themselves. The years of abundance, he explains, will be followed by years of famine. The dream is not merely a warning, but an invitation to prepare while there is still time. Granaries should be filled, harvest carefully stored, and wisdom exercised before hardship arrives. Whether one approaches this account through history, faith, or tradition, its influence is difficult to overstate. For countless generations, the story has stood as one of history's most enduring examples of a dream that shaped the future of an entire nation. It reminds us that in the ancient world, dreams were often understood not as predictions carved in stone, but as opportunities to act with foresight and wisdom. As evening settles once more across the Nile, it is easy to imagine families retelling this remarkable story beneath the soft glow of oil lamps. Children listen with quiet fascination while elders gently remind them that even the most powerful ruler in the land once found himself searching for the meaning of a dream. Our voyage now continues beyond Egypt once again. Other kings will dream, other interpreters will listen, and in every land we visit, the quiet hours of the night will continue to shape decisions made beneath the light of day. Some nights pass as quietly as drifting clouds beneath the moon. Others refuse to loosen their grip before morning. This was one of those nights. Somewhere beyond the great walls of an ancient city, a king suddenly opened his eyes. The room was silent. A single oil lamp still flickered in the corner, casting long shadows across carved stone walls. Outside, the palace slept peacefully. Guards remained at their posts. The garden stood motionless beneath the stars. Yet sleep had slipped away as completely as if it had never been there at all. The dream had already begun to fade. Its images lingered just beyond memory, like reflections disappearing from the surface of moving water. He could still feel its weight. He knew it carried meaning. Yet the details drifted farther away with every passing moment, leaving behind only a quiet certainty that something of great importance had been shown to him. Before the eastern sky had begun to brighten, messengers crossed the palace courtyards with hurried but careful steps. They carried no weapons and announced no emergency. Instead, they summoned the kingdom's wisest advisors, astrologers, priests, and interpreters. The king had dreamed, and that alone was reason enough to gather before sunrise. One by one they entered the great hall, their sandals whispering across polished stone. They bowed respectfully and waited. No one spoke until the king finally broke the silence. He wanted more than an interpretation. He wanted certainty. Across the ancient kingdoms of Mesopotamia and Babylon, dreams were never treated lightly when they visited a ruler. A shepherd's dream might guide a family. A merchant's dream might influence a journey. But a king's dream could shape the future of an entire nation. If the night had spoken, wisdom demanded that someone listen. Among the rulers remembered in ancient tradition, few are more closely linked with dreams than Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon. His dreams would become some of the most famous ever recorded, not only because of the mysterious images they contained, but because generations continued telling the stories long after the great walls of Babylon had begun to crumble. Whether remembered through history, sacred scripture, or enduring legend, one truth remained remarkably consistent. The most powerful man in one of the greatest cities on earth discovered that wealth, armies, and towering palaces offered no protection against a single unanswered dream. As dawn slowly approached, the palace remained unusually quiet. Somewhere beyond its walls, ordinary families were beginning another day. Bakers prepared their ovens. Merchants opened wooden shutters. Children stirred from sleep. Yet inside the royal chambers, the kingdom still waited for an answer that had not yet arrived. Our own journey will remain here a little longer. For before this morning has ended, one quiet voice will offer an interpretation that neither power nor privilege could provide. The great hall remained unusually still. The advisors who had gathered before dawn possessed impressive learning. They understood the movements of the stars, the traditions of their ancestors, and the wisdom preserved upon countless clay tablets. Yet on this morning, knowledge alone could not restore what had already begun to slip away. The king remembered enough to know that the dream mattered, but not enough to understand why. Like mist rising from the river at sunrise, its images dissolved each time he tried to grasp them. The harder he reached for them, the farther they seemed to drift. Then another figure entered the palace. He arrived without ceremony. No musicians announced his presence. No soldiers cleared the way before him. Daniel walked quietly into the royal court, carrying neither scrolls nor symbols of rank. He came with something less visible and, perhaps, far more valuable. He was willing to listen before he spoke. According to the ancient story, Daniel first asked for time. While the palace waited in growing uncertainty, he sought wisdom in prayer rather than in hurried conclusions. It was a gentle reminder that the deepest questions rarely welcome the quickest answers. When he finally stood before the king once again, he spoke with remarkable calm. The dream, he explained, was not simply about one restless night. It reflected kingdoms that would rise and kingdoms that would pass away, reminding every ruler that even the greatest empires remain only temporary beneath the wide heavens. Whether we approach this account through history, faith, or tradition, its quiet lesson has echoed for centuries. A single dream, remembered before dawn, became part of a story that would be read, retold, and reflected upon by countless generations. The palace where anxious voices had gathered in the darkness eventually disappeared into history, yet the dream itself continued its long journey across time. As morning light spread across Babylon, the city slowly returned to its familiar rhythm. Merchants reopened their stalls. Children chased one another through narrow streets. Potters turned their wheels, and shepherds led their flocks toward open pasture. Life moved forward much as it always had, though those within the palace carried the memory of a night that had quietly altered the course of a kingdom. Our own voyage now slips gently away from the royal court. We leave behind its towering walls, its whispered conversations, and the unanswered questions that so often accompany the night. Ahead, the current carries us toward quieter landscapes, where dreams belong not only to kings and prophets, but to ordinary people seeking comfort, healing, and gentle guidance beneath the same moon that has watched over every place we have visited. By now, our night voyage has carried us across rivers, deserts, and kingdoms. Tonight, however, the current leaves behind the noise of great cities and follows quieter waters toward a landscape where mist lingers among ancient hills, and every stone seems to remember an older story. The coast gradually disappears behind us as green valleys unfold beneath a sky of deep indigo. Oak forests blanket the hillsides, streams wander lazily through flowering meadows, and distant mountains rest beneath drifting clouds. Here, The land itself seems unhurried, as though it has been patiently waiting for travelers long before the first roads were ever built. As evening settles over the countryside, smoke rises gently from scattered homes with thatched roofs. Shepherds gather their flocks. Children return from the fields carrying woven baskets filled with herbs and berries. Before long, only the sounds of flowing water, rustling leaves, and the occasional call of an owl remain to accompany the night. Unlike the great temples we have visited, many sacred places here were not shaped by human hands. A spring emerging from the side of a hill, a solitary standing stone, a quiet grove of ancient oaks, or a grassy mound overlooking the valley could all become places where the boundary between the ordinary world and the unseen seemed especially thin. Those seeking guidance often came not because they expected certainty, but because they welcomed stillness. Some spent the evening in quiet reflection beside a sacred well. Others rested beneath old trees, whose branches had shaded generations before them. There were places where a traveler might sleep upon the earth itself, believing that dreams arrived more clearly beneath the open sky than beneath the roof of any house. Whether every tradition unfolded exactly this way is difficult to know across so many centuries. Stories changed as they passed from one generation to the next, and much was carried not by written words, but by memory itself. Yet again and again, the old tales return to the same quiet idea. Certain places seem to invite deeper listening. Perhaps it was the steady rhythm of flowing water. Perhaps it was the silence that settles so naturally beneath ancient trees. Or perhaps the landscape simply encouraged people to become still enough to notice thoughts that the busyness of ordinary life often concealed. Whatever the reason, these gentle places continued drawing visitors who hoped that sleep might offer understanding where waking hours had not. Imagine spending a single night beneath one of those old oaks. Moonlight filters softly through the branches, painting shifting patterns across the moss below. A cool breeze carries the fragrance of damp earth and wildflowers, while somewhere beyond the trees a stream continues its endless conversation with the stones. There is no temple wall surrounding you, no priest waiting nearby, and no ceremony to perform. Only the quiet companionship of the night itself. As dawn slowly approaches, the first birds begin greeting the morning long before the sun appears above the hills. You rise, brush the dew from your cloak, and begin the walk home. Whether the answers you sought arrived in a dream, or simply in the peaceful stillness of the night, almost seems beside the point. Sometimes the journey itself has gently prepared the heart to hear what it had been missing all along. Our own voyage lingers here for just a little while longer. For among these mist-covered hills lie stories of poets, seers, and wanderers who believed that sleep could open pathways into worlds hidden just beyond ordinary sight. The surface of the well is perfectly still. Moonlight rests upon it so gently that the stars seem to have found a second home beneath the water, and every now and then a single leaf drifts quietly across the reflection before disappearing into the darkness. A young poet sits nearby, wrapped in a woolen cloak against the cool night air. Tomorrow he must offer words worthy of his people, yet tonight no verses come. Rather than forcing them into existence, he waits. The old stories have taught him that wisdom cannot always be chased. Sometimes it arrives only after the mind has finally grown quiet. Across the Celtic world, poets held a place of deep respect. They were more than entertainers. They preserved history, remembered family lineages, carried the old stories from one generation to the next, and gave voice to moments that might otherwise have been forgotten. Such responsibilities were not taken lightly, and traditions grew that connected inspiration with patience, solitude, and the quiet hours of the night. No wind disturbs the branches overhead. Somewhere beyond the trees, an owl calls once before the forest falls silent again. The poet closes his eyes, not expecting certainty, but simply making room for whatever the night may choose to offer. Later traditions tell of practices in which poets sought inspiration through periods of retreat, deep reflection, and carefully prepared sleep. History does not always allow us to separate every detail of legend from everyday life, yet the stories themselves reveal something important. Creative insight was often imagined as a gift to be received rather than a prize to be seized. Perhaps that is why so many tales begin beside quiet waters. Springs, wells, and slow-moving streams have long invited reflection. They ask nothing of the traveler except stillness, and stillness has always been a faithful companion of listening. By morning, the poet may awaken with only a single line worth remembering. Another dreamer might carry home nothing more than a feeling that refuses to fade. Yet even the smallest gift is welcomed with gratitude, for no one believes that inspiration measures itself by abundance. A few carefully chosen words may outlive 1,000 hurried ones. The first light of dawn touches the tops of the distant hills before reaching the valley below. Birds begin greeting the morning one by one, and thin ribbons of mist rise from the fields. The poet stands, thanks the quiet place that has sheltered him through the night, and begins the walk home with an unhurried step. Our night voyage leaves the well behind, following streams that eventually find their way to the sea. Before long, we will discover that the desire to seek wisdom in dreams was never confined to Europe or the lands surrounding the Mediterranean. Across oceans and continents, other peoples also greeted the night with quiet expectation, though the stories they carried were beautifully their own. The fire has burned low, leaving behind a bed of glowing embers that pulse softly in the darkness. Every now and then, a single spark drifts upward, joining a sky so filled with stars that the spaces between them seem almost impossible to find. Around the fire, conversation has grown quiet. The youngest children have already fallen asleep, wrapped warmly against the cool night air. Elders remain awake a little longer, listening to the sounds that belong only to the hours before dawn. Somewhere beyond the circle of light, unseen creatures move gently through the landscape, reminding everyone that the night is never truly silent. Long before maps gave names to this vast continent, Aboriginal peoples across Australia nurtured rich and deeply rooted spiritual traditions that connected people, ancestors, the land, and the sky. Among these traditions is a concept often called the dreaming, or dream time in older English writings, though neither term fully captures its depth or meaning. Despite the familiar word, the dreaming is not simply the same as the dreams we experience while sleeping. It speaks of an enduring spiritual reality, one that stretches beyond ordinary time into the ancient relationships that shaped the land, its creatures, and the responsibilities carried by each generation. It is a living presence rather than a memory of the distant past. Even so, sleep remained a time of quiet significance. Dreams could strengthen personal understanding, deepen relationships with country, or invite reflection upon responsibilities that reached beyond the individual. As with every tradition we have visited, meanings were shaped within the community itself, guided by elders whose knowledge had been patiently carried across generations. A breeze stirs the grass beyond the fire, and someone quietly adds another piece of wood to the glowing coals. No one rushes to explain every mystery. Some things are simply received with gratitude and allowed to remain larger than words. The night has always held room for that kind of wisdom. As visitors from another time, our own task is not to simplify these traditions into ideas that feel familiar. Instead, we pause with respect, recognizing that every culture speaks its own language of the sacred. Some understand dreams through temples, others through prophets, others through the living landscape itself. None can be fully understood by borrowing the words of another. The embers continue glowing long after the last voices have fallen silent. Above them, the stars follow paths that have guided countless generations across this ancient land. Our night voyage will carry us onward once again, but for a little while longer we simply remain beside the fire, grateful for the quiet privilege of listening. The firelight slowly fades behind us as our night voyage follows colder winds toward the far north. Here the forests grow smaller, the rivers widen, and for much of the year the land rests beneath snow and ice that shimmer beneath the moon like polished silver. A pair of boots leaves a fresh trail across the snow. Each step is deliberate, for winter rewards patience more generously than haste. Nearby, a sled dog lifts its head for a moment before settling quietly once again, while somewhere in the distance the soft crack of shifting ice echoes across the frozen landscape. For the indigenous peoples of the Arctic, survival has always depended upon careful observation. The movement of animals, the changing weather, the condition of the sea ice, and the wisdom carried by elders all become part of a lifetime of learning. Within many northern cultures, dreams also found their place among these ways of understanding the world, though never in exactly the same manner from one community to the next. Some dreams were shared only with close family members. Others might be spoken aloud before the day had properly begun, allowing elders to consider whether they held guidance, reassurance, or a reminder to pay closer attention to something easily overlooked. Often the value of the dream was found not in predicting the future, but in encouraging thoughtful living within the present. The snow has a remarkable way of preserving a story. A single line of tracks crossing an open valley may reveal who passed during the night, where they were traveling, and how long ago they made the journey. Dreams were sometimes approached with similar patience. Their meaning did not always appear at once. Like tracks half covered by drifting snow, they invited careful observation before any conclusion was reached. The northern lights begin to ripple across the sky in quiet curtains of green and violet. For generations, people have looked upward with wonder, weaving stories that reflected the character of their own communities and homelands. Just as no two rivers follow exactly the same course, no single story can speak for every northern people. Each tradition carries its own voice, shaped by the land that has long sustained it. A child wakes before dawn and quietly tells a grandparent about a dream remembered from the night. There is no laughter, no hurried dismissal, and no insistence that every image must carry a hidden message. Instead, the dream is received as one more thread in the fabric of life, worthy of listening to before the work of the new day begins. The eastern horizon slowly brightens, though the sun itself still waits below the mountains. Ravens call across the valley, and a faint breeze sends fine crystals of snow dancing across the frozen ground. Our night voyage turns gently southward once more, carrying with it another reminder that while landscapes may differ beyond imagination, the quiet human desire to seek meaning in the night has traveled wherever people have made their homes. Soon we will arrive in places where dreams are carefully recorded in books instead of remembered beside fires or shared beneath open skies. Yet each stop along our journey continues to whisper the same gentle truth. Before there were libraries, before there were universities, and long before there were laboratories, people everywhere looked toward the night with curiosity, humility, and hope. Not every dream sought to comfort the dreamer. Some arrived on evenings when the weight of tomorrow seemed almost too great to carry. A military camp stretches quietly across the countryside. Thousands of tents stand beneath the stars, their outlines softened by the faint glow of scattered watchfires. Horses shift gently in their sleep. Armor rests beside shields, and the voices that filled the camp only hours before have faded into silence. Tomorrow, two armies will meet. Among those trying to rest is a commander whose decision may alter the future of an empire. Yet sleep comes only in fragments. The responsibilities of leadership have a way of following even the most weary mind into the darkness. According to traditions that have been told for centuries, the Roman Emperor Constantine experienced a vision during the night before one of the most important battles of his life. The details differ slightly from one ancient account to another, as stories often do when carried across generations. Some describe a dream, others tell of a vision seen in the sky. Together, they leave us with the same enduring image of a ruler who believed that the coming day had already been touched by something greater than himself. Morning would bring the Battle of the Milvian Bridge, a conflict remembered not only for its military outcome, but for the profound changes that followed. Whether one approaches the story through history, faith, or tradition, it remains one of the most influential nights ever described in the ancient world. The camp is beginning to wake. A cook stirs glowing embers back into flame. Leather straps are tightened. Standards are lifted into the cool morning air, where they flutter gently in the first breeze of dawn. Somewhere among the thousands preparing for battle walks a man, carrying with him the memory of a dream that has quietly reshaped his courage. History often remembers victories, treaties, and the rise of great cities. Less often does it pause to consider the silent hours that came before them. Yet again and again, our night voyage has shown us that many people believed the darkness itself could become a place where tomorrow first revealed its outline. Like the first light spreading across a distant horizon, some dreams seem almost unnoticed at the moment they arrive. Only later, looking back across the years, do people begin to understand how far their influence has traveled. Our voyage leaves the military camp as gently as it arrived. The watchfires disappear behind us, replaced once more by quiet waters reflecting the stars. Ahead waits another story in which a single dream, carried into the morning, would continue echoing through generations yet to come. A single note lingers in the darkness long after the musician has stopped playing. It hangs in the quiet air for just a moment before disappearing into the stillness, leaving behind only memory and possibility. Far from the royal courts and sacred temples we have visited, another kind of dream quietly waits. It carries no warning of famine, no message for an emperor, and no prophecy concerning the rise of kingdoms. Instead, it offers an unexpected gift to a curious mind willing to receive it. Stories have long been told of composers, writers, and scholars who awoke with ideas that had seemed impossible only hours before. A melody remembered upon waking, the answer to a difficult problem, a line of poetry that arrived complete, as though it had been patiently waiting somewhere beyond ordinary thought. One of the best-loved stories belongs to the Italian violinist and composer Giuseppe Tartini. He later recalled a remarkable dream in which the devil appeared beside his bed and performed a piece of music of astonishing beauty upon the violin. When Tartini awoke, the melody remained vivid enough that he hurried to write down as much as he could remember. The composition became known as the Devil's Trill Sonata, though Tartini would later say that what he wrote was only a faint reflection of the music he believed he had heard in his dream. Whether the dream unfolded exactly as Tartini remembered matters less than the picture it paints. Creativity has always possessed an air of mystery. Across many cultures, people have wondered whether inspiration is entirely our own, or whether every now and then it arrives like a quiet visitor during the night. A feather settles onto the surface of a still pond. Gentle ripples spread outward in widening circles until they finally disappear from view. Inspiration often seems to move in much the same way. A single dream touches one person, yet its influence quietly travels outward through music, art, stories, and discoveries that may continue long after the dream itself has faded. By sunrise, the composer sits beside an open window with pen in hand. Birds greet the new day while scattered notes begin filling an empty page. Somewhere, a melody that existed only in sleep slowly becomes part of the waking world. Our night voyage reminds us once again that history is not shaped only by rulers, battles, or monuments of stone. Sometimes its course changes because someone awakens before dawn with an idea gentle enough to fit upon a single page, yet beautiful enough to be remembered for centuries. There are some faces we remember with remarkable clarity, even after the dream itself has begun to fade. A grandmother whose smile seems wonderfully familiar, though we cannot remember her voice. A stranger standing patiently beneath an ancient tree. A child running through a meadow that has never existed, yet somehow feels like home. By breakfast, the places may have disappeared, but the faces often remain, quietly refusing to be forgotten. The ancient Greeks wondered about that mystery as well. If the Onearoy carried dreams across the sleeping world, perhaps someone also shaped the people who appeared within them. From that quiet question emerged one of the most enduring figures in all of Greek mythology. His name was Morpheus. Unlike the Onearoy, who belonged to the great family of dreams, Morpheus was said to possess a very particular gift. He could take on human form with astonishing skill. Kings, travelers, old friends, forgotten relatives, even strangers never before encountered in waking life could all appear within a dream wearing faces that seemed completely real. Like a potter gently shaping clay upon a wheel, Morpheus was imagined as a careful craftsman rather than a magician. Dreams were not hurried into existence. They were formed patiently, giving shape to conversations that never took place, journeys that were never made, and meetings between people separated by great distances or even by death itself. That image reveals something quietly beautiful about the ancient imagination. The Greeks understood that dreams were more than moving pictures. They were stories filled with recognizable people whose expressions, gestures, and voices often felt astonishingly lifelike. Rather than dismissing this as a puzzle, they created a figure whose gentle craft helped explain why dreams could feel so completely real. A sculptor begins with an unshaped block of marble. Hidden within it, an unseen figure waits patiently to emerge beneath careful hands. Dreams sometimes unfold in much the same way. They begin as scattered impressions before slowly revealing faces, places, and conversations that seem to have been waiting quietly beneath the surface all along. Not every dream brought comfort. Morpheus could shape sorrow as faithfully as joy, longing as easily as celebration. Yet even the most melancholy dreams often carried a curious tenderness. We awaken missing someone we have not seen for many years, grateful that for a few brief moments the night allowed us to share their company once again. Perhaps that is why Morpheus has never entirely disappeared from our imagination. Long after the temples of Greece grew silent and their marble columns weathered beneath centuries of wind and rain, people continued speaking of him whenever dreams seemed especially vivid. His name endured because it gave voice to an experience that remains familiar to us all. Our night voyage drifts onward through the quiet country of dreams. Ahead lie places where voices are carried by whispering oak leaves, sacred springs mirror the stars, and the night itself seems to answer those who arrive with patient hearts. Before long, we will discover that not every oracle spoke beneath the light of day. Before the traveler does. It slips quietly through the branches of ancient oaks, lifting thousands of leaves that answer with a soft whisper of their own. Somewhere nearby, water moves patiently over smooth stones, while an owl waits unseen in the darkness between the trees. None of these sounds ask to be noticed, yet together they create a silence that feels wonderfully alive. A woman pauses beside the spring before taking another step. She has walked since late afternoon to reach this secluded place, carrying no offerings of gold or silver. Instead, she brings a question that has remained quietly within her heart for many months. Tonight, she has come not to seek a dream, but to listen. Across the ancient world, many people believed that wisdom did not belong only to books, temples, or kings. Sometimes it revealed itself in places where the natural world seemed especially willing to slow the hurried mind. A grove of old trees, a mountain cave, a spring emerging from solid rock. These places were not thought to speak with human voices, yet many believed they possessed a language of their own. The spring never repeats exactly the same song. A single stone changes the course of the water. A gentle breeze bends the reeds along its edge. Moonlight drifts across its surface before disappearing behind a passing cloud. Like dreams themselves, the night is always familiar, yet never quite the same twice. Perhaps that is why so many sacred places were chosen where the sounds of nature could be heard most clearly. Long before the distractions of the modern world, silence was rarely empty. It carried birdsong before dawn, the rustling of unseen animals, the murmur of distant streams, and the patient rhythm of the wind. Those who came seeking guidance often believed that learning to listen was itself part of the answer. Not every traveler received a revelation. Many simply spent the night in quiet reflection before returning home with no dramatic story to tell. Yet even that was considered worthwhile. A peaceful heart was sometimes regarded as a gift no less valuable than a remarkable vision. A single leaf loosens from the highest branch of the oak. It turns slowly through the cool night air before coming to rest upon the forest floor. No voice announces its arrival. No hidden message suddenly appears. Yet for someone waiting patiently beneath the tree, even such a small moment might invite thoughtful reflection. Meaning often grew not from certainty, but from careful attention. Our night voyage has carried us from dream temples into a different kind of sanctuary. Here, people sought not the images that arrived in sleep, but the quiet wisdom that seemed to linger within the living world itself. Before long, we will arrive at one of the most remarkable places in all of Greece, where generations gathered beneath a single ancient oak, believing that every whisper of its leaves carried the possibility of an answer. The leaves never seem to rest. Even on evenings when the air feels perfectly still, a few high branches continue their quiet conversation with the night. Their whispers drift through the darkness so softly that it becomes difficult to tell where the wind ends and the trees begin. An old man sits beneath the broad canopy with his hands folded comfortably in his lap. He has not come to ask for wealth, nor victory, nor fame. His journey has been much simpler than that. A choice lies before him, and he hopes that somewhere within the patient voice of the ancient oak, he may discover the courage to make it wisely. For centuries, travelers made their way to this peaceful sanctuary known as Dodona, one of the oldest sacred places in Greece. Unlike many temples devoted to magnificent statues or elaborate ceremonies, Dodona became famous for something far quieter. People came to listen. The great oak was believed to be sacred to Zeus, and those who cared for the sanctuary learned to observe the natural world with extraordinary patience. The movement of the leaves, the flight of birds through the branches, and even the gentle resonance of bronze vessels suspended nearby were all considered part of a conversation between heaven and earth. The answers were seldom obvious. They unfolded gradually for those willing to remain and listen. A breeze passes through the upper branches, and thousands of leaves answer together before settling once more into silence. Nearby, a bronze vessel sways almost imperceptibly until it lightly touches another, releasing a single clear note that lingers in the cool evening air before slowly fading away. No two visitors heard exactly the same sanctuary. One traveler remembered the sound of water. Another spoke of birds calling before sunrise. Someone else carried home only the memory of wind moving gently through the branches. Like the dreams we have followed across so many lands, the experience belonged as much to the listener as it did to the place itself. Perhaps that is why Dodona remained beloved for so many generations. It did not promise certainty. It offered companionship for those willing to sit quietly with life's unanswered questions. Sometimes wisdom arrived not as a command, but as a gentle change in the heart of the one who had come seeking it. The oak itself became a kind of teacher. Season after season it stood through rain, snow, brilliant summers, and countless autumns, never rushing the passing of time. Those who rested beneath its branches found themselves keeping the same patient rhythm. Like the tree, they learned that some answers cannot be hurried into bloom. As our night voyage slowly leaves the sanctuary behind, the whispering grows fainter until it blends once more with the sounds of the forest. Yet something seems to travel with us. Not the words of an oracle, for none were spoken, but the quiet reminder that listening has always been one of humanity's oldest forms of wisdom. The fragrance arrives before the garden comes into view. Long before the moonlight reveals the cypress trees or the narrow channels of flowing water, the evening breeze carries the perfume of roses, jasmine, and flowering orange trees across the quiet path. It is a gentle welcome, one that asks nothing of the traveler except a willingness to slow their steps. Beyond the garden walls, the city gradually settles into sleep. Shopkeepers close heavy wooden doors for the night. Lanterns disappear one by one behind carved windows, and distant conversations become little more than murmurs carried upon the cooling air. Inside the garden, however, another world quietly awakens. Water slips through carefully shaped channels, reflecting the stars with every gentle turn. Cypress trees stand like faithful companions beside the pathways, their dark silhouettes reaching toward a sky filled with constellations that have guided travelers for thousands of years. Somewhere unseen, a nightingale offers a single song before falling silent once more. A gardener pauses beside the flowing water. His work finished long before sunset, he has remained behind for reasons known only to himself. Perhaps he is remembering someone dear to him. Perhaps he is turning over a question that has lingered through many restless nights. Or perhaps he simply finds that gardens reveal a different kind of beauty after darkness has gently settled over the earth. In ancient Persia, gardens were never merely collections of beautiful plants. They were carefully ordered places where water, trees, flowers, shade, and open sky existed together in quiet harmony. After the heat of the day had passed, people wandered their pathways, listened to the water, breathed the evening air, and found that the hurried thoughts of daylight often became gentler beneath the stars. The stream never hurries toward its destination. It bends where the stones invite it to bend. It reflects the moon without trying to hold it. Leaves fall into its waters for a little while before continuing on their own quiet journey. Watching the current, it becomes easy to understand why so many ancient teachers use flowing water to speak of patience, wisdom, and the passage of life itself. Within the Zoroastrian tradition, the world was understood as a place where every person was called to choose truth over falsehood, light over darkness, kindness over cruelty. Those choices were rarely made in moments of great celebration. More often they were made quietly, one day at a time, within the ordinary rhythm of life. The stillness of the night offered space to reflect upon those choices before another dawn arrived. A single flower opens more fully after sunset. Its fragrance is invisible, yet no less real for being unseen. Dreams have often been understood in much the same way. They cannot be gathered in the hand or preserved upon a shelf, yet they may quietly linger within the heart long after morning has scattered the last shadows from the garden paths. Later Persian poets would return again and again to gardens like this, filling their verses with roses, birds, flowing water, moonlight, and the mysterious conversation between the soul and the night. Whether writing of earthly beauty or spiritual longing, they understood that the garden itself had become a language through which deeper truths could gently bloom. The gardener rises at last. He walks slowly toward the gate, pausing only once to look back across the moonlit pools where the stars continue shimmering upon the water's surface. Nothing extraordinary has happened. No voice has spoken from the darkness. No startling vision has appeared before his eyes. Yet he leaves carrying something difficult to describe. The quiet feeling that time spent listening to beauty is never time wasted. Our night voyage lingers just a little longer among these fragrant pathways before continuing eastward through the centuries. Ahead, scholars will begin gathering the dreams of countless people with the same patience shown by gardeners tending roses. They will not ask whether dreams matter. They will ask instead how they might be understood with wisdom, humility, and care. The gardener has long since disappeared beyond the walls, yet the fragrance of the roses lingers quietly in the evening air. No one can see where it begins or where it ends. It cannot be gathered in the hand or carried away in a vessel of bronze. The breeze simply receives it for a little while before carrying it onward into the night. Dreams have often been understood in much the same way. They arrive unseen, remain with us for a time, and sometimes continue shaping our thoughts long after the dream itself has faded from memory. A young scholar walked slowly through the garden before returning home. Earlier that evening, he had listened to an elderly teacher speak about wisdom, patience, and the importance of a truthful heart. Beneath a sky bright with stars, he finds himself wondering whether the dream he remembered that morning deserved another moment of reflection. He does not rush to an answer. Instead, he allows the question to accompany him, just as the fragrance of the flowers follows him through the garden gate and into the quiet streets beyond. Some questions become wiser simply by being carried gently rather than solved too quickly. As the centuries unfolded, Persia became one of the great crossroads of learning. Ideas traveled with merchants, pilgrims, physicians, and scholars, gathering new insights as they crossed mountains and deserts. Dreams traveled with them, not as objects that could be traded, but as stories shared over evening meals, remembered before dawn, and discussed with trusted teachers whose wisdom had been shaped by long experience. Within the Islamic world, dreams came to be regarded with both respect and discernment. Scholars understood that not every dream carried the same significance. Many arose from the ordinary concerns of daily life, while others invited quieter reflection. The challenge was never simply to interpret a dream. It was to cultivate the wisdom to know when silence, patience, and humility were the better companions. Among the most respected voices was Ibn Siryn, remembered for approaching dreams with remarkable care. He listened not only to the dream itself, but also to the life of the dreamer. The same image might carry different meaning for different people, because no two lives followed exactly the same path. Like a gardener tending many different plants, Wisdom required understanding the one standing before you rather than relying upon fixed rules alone. The scent of jasmine grows stronger as the evening air cools. It reminds the young scholar of something his teacher once said: "A flower does not force its fragrance upon the traveler. It simply blooms. Whoever passes nearby receives its gift according to the attentiveness they bring with them." Dreams, he begins to think, may offer themselves with the same quiet generosity. Before retiring for the night, he writes a few simple lines upon a waiting page. Not the dream itself, but the feeling it left behind. He knows the images may soon disappear, just as morning sunlight will scatter the perfume lingering above the garden paths. Yet sometimes the feeling remains after every detail has faded, gently guiding the heart toward greater wisdom without ever explaining itself completely. Our night voyage leaves the garden slowly, carrying with it the fragrance of roses that seems reluctant to disappear. Ahead, another dream waits beneath another sky. This time it will not belong to a scholar or a king, but to a queen whose quiet vision of a white elephant will become one of the most beloved stories in the Buddhist tradition. The night is unusually still. Beyond the palace balconies, flowering trees release their fragrance into the warm evening air, while a full moon rises slowly above distant hills. Pools of quiet water mirror the stars so perfectly that the heavens seem to have settled gently upon the earth. It is a night that asks for nothing except peaceful rest. Queen Maya has retired for the evening. The day's ceremonies are over. The palace has grown quiet, and even the last footsteps in the corridors have faded into silence. As sleep gently overtakes her, a dream begins unlike any she has ever known. From the distant mountains comes a magnificent white elephant, moving with perfect calm and dignity. It carries a white lotus in its trunk, a flower long associated with purity and awakening. There is no fear within the dream, no confusion, and no hurried movement. Everything unfolds with the quiet certainty of moonlight crossing still water. The elephant approaches with profound gentleness. In Buddhist tradition, the dream tells of an extraordinary child soon to be born, one whose life will bring wisdom, compassion, and a deeper understanding of human suffering. Long before a single word is spoken, the dream quietly announces that the world itself is about to change. Like the fragrance of jasmine carried upon the evening breeze, the meaning of the dream spreads gently rather than all at once. Those who hear the story remember not only the white elephant, but the remarkable peace that surrounds the entire vision. Nothing struggles. Nothing demands attention. The dream simply arrives, beautiful enough to be remembered for thousands of years. Morning comes softly. Golden light begins to gather along the eastern horizon as birds greet another day. Servants quietly prepare the palace for its daily rhythm, unaware that a single dream from the night before will one day be retold across continents and through countless generations. Some stories begin with battles, others begin with journeys. This one begins with peaceful sleep. Our own night voyage has carried us through many different worlds. We have stood beside Egyptian temples and Greek sanctuaries. We have walked beneath whispering oaks, crossed frozen landscapes, rested in fragrant Persian gardens, and followed dreams into royal courts and humble homes alike. Each place has offered its own understanding of the mysterious hours between dusk and dawn. No two dreams have been exactly alike. Like snowflakes falling upon a winter forest, each has arrived with its own quiet beauty. Like rivers, they have followed different courses through different civilizations. Like the fragrance of roses after sunset, some have lingered long after their source could no longer be seen. Yet together they remind us of something wonderfully human. Across every age and every landscape we have visited, people have looked toward the night with curiosity, reverence, and hope. Perhaps that is why these stories continue to travel with us. They do not ask us to solve every mystery before morning arrives. Instead, they gently invite us to slow our steps, to listen more carefully, and to leave a little room in our lives for wonder. Whether we find ourselves beneath the stars of ancient Greece, beside a Persian garden, or simply resting beneath our own familiar sky, the night still offers the same quiet gift it has always offered, the chance to close our eyes and enter a world where imagination, memory, and hope meet in peaceful conversation. Thank you for joining me on tonight's journey across the dream temples, sacred landscapes, and quiet stories of the ancient world. If you enjoyed this peaceful voyage, I hope you'll explore more bedtime journeys here on the Sleepy Legends channel. Until our paths cross again, may your own dreams be gentle, your sleep be peaceful, and your night be filled with quiet wonder. Good night.